Before you pack up and move to Suffolk, Virginia, you need to know this city can quietly wreck your commute, your budget, and your sanity if you pick the wrong side of it. And the worst part? Most people don't realize it until they've already signed the lease or closed on the house. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the real reasons people regret moving to Suffolk, and how to avoid every single one. I'm Jason Edwards, a local realtor here in Hampton Roads, and I help military families, first-time buyers, and relocators move here every week. We're going to look at the commute choke points, the hidden cost of living traps, and which Suffolk areas feel peaceful, and which ones will have you questioning your life choices. And if Suffolk is your kind of place, stick around till the end, because I'll also show you who absolutely thrives here, so you can decide if it fits your life. Let's get after it. Today's video is exactly what the title says. Don't move to Suffolk, Virginia. Now, I know it sounds a little spicy, like I'm standing at the city limits with a stop sign and a whistle. I'm not. This is a don't be surprised later video. Suffolk can be an awesome place to live, or it can feel like a daily grind, depending on what your life actually needs and which side of Suffolk you choose. And you need this line early. Suffolk is huge, like geographically the largest city in Virginia huge. So when someone tells me we're moving to Suffolk, my first question is always, okay, what part? Because North Suffolk doesn't feel like Central Suffolk, and Central Suffolk doesn't feel like rural Suffolk. It's like three different worlds sharing the same city name. If you're relocating to Hampton Roads, PCS, retiring, first-time buying, selling, my contact information is in the description below. Call, text, or email anytime. I help people do this every single week, and I'm happy to be a resource. And let me know in the comments what brought you here. Military orders, a new job, or you just want more space for your money, because that context changes what the right Suffolk even means. Let's start with fit, because I'd rather you be mildly annoyed with me today than regretful 6 months from now. Suffolk isn't for everyone. If you need a walkable lifestyle where everything is 5 minutes away, coffee, restaurants, nightlife, shopping, Suffolk can feel spread out. There are pockets with charm, but it's not walk out your door into a city grid. Out here, you're driving to things. Some people love that because it feels quieter. Other people hate it because it feels isolated. Know which one you are. If driving drains you, if long stretches behind the wheel stress you out, Suffolk can wear on you. Out here, real quick is a myth. You can do everything you need to, it just might take longer than you're used to. And if you're used to a city where everything is tightly packed, Suffolk can feel like you're always going somewhere. If you need a predictable commute, especially military folks with report times and shift work, Suffolk can be great, but it can also humble you if you choose the wrong route and the wrong side of town. The commute doesn't just affect your mornings, it affects your evenings too. It's the difference between eating dinner with your family or pulling in the driveway already running on fumes. If you hate the sound of growth, construction, trucks, new neighborhoods being built, there are parts of Suffolk where you're gonna feel that. Some areas are in the building season, and that season can last a while. And if you want nightlife, like Norfolk energy or Virginia Beach energy, Suffolk probably won't scratch that itch either. Suffolk is more get home, breathe, throw something on the grill, and actually hear yourself think. None of this is meant to trash Suffolk. It's meant to keep you from buying a house and accidentally signing up for a lifestyle that you don't want. Quick myth to kill right now. Suffolk is cheaper, so it's automatically better. Sometimes you do get more house for your money, but better depends on your commute, your monthly budget, your school needs, and what you want your day-to-day life to feel like. Reason number one people regret moving to Suffolk, especially commuters, is traffic, and specifically 58. 58 traffic, especially lately, can be rough on a daily basis. Part of it is the construction that's been ongoing for the flyover near the dump, and part of it is simple math. More people are moving to the area, and the road network infrastructure in certain stretches isn't built for the volume it's carrying. Here's a big pain point that surprises people. 58 is basically 2 lanes from just past the dump all the way through to Hamburger Alley in Holland. 2 lanes can work until the moment something slows down. construction, a wreck, weather, heavy merging, one slow person parked in the left lane. There isn't much room to absorb it, so it stacks up. And here's what I see happen all the time. A buyer falls in love with a house because it looks like a deal, and on paper it is. Then we do a few test drives or map checks at real commute times, and they go, okay, this is a different conversation. Sometimes they still choose it, and that's fine, because space matters more than commute for them. But at least it's a conscious decision, not an accidental one. One practical trick: when you're touring, don't only check house to work. Check house to work, and then check house to the stuff you'll actually use. Groceries, gym, kids' activities, and the route your spouse will drive if they're the one doing the school route. A great house can feel less great if every routine takes an extra 20 minutes. Now, if you're thinking, okay, traffic is everywhere, you're not wrong. But here's why it hits different for relocators and military families. You're already managing a lot. When your commute becomes unpredictable, it's not just annoying. It changes how you plan your life. You leave earlier, you get home later, you start adding buffer times to everything. And that buffer time comes from somewhere. So let's make it practical. When you're choosing where to live in Suffolk, the first decision shouldn't be, do I like this kitchen? The first decision is, can I live with the commute? Here are some go-to rules. Rule number 1, stop thinking in miles, think in minutes. Time matters. Rule number 2, map your commute at the times you actually drive. If you report early, check early. If you get off at 4, check it around that window. And check it on more than one day. If you're relocating from out of state and you can't check it yourself, I'll screen record it for you and we can talk through the options. Rule number 3, map your real life loop. House to work is only part of it. Add daycare, groceries, the gym, practice, whatever your life actually includes. Rule 4, think about the one bad day. If there's a wreck or weather hits, what's your backup plan? Some areas have options. Some areas funnel you into the same corridor every single time. One takeaway, you can absolutely make Suffolk work. We just have to pick the right pocket for your destination and your tolerance for commuting. For sellers, access is value. If your house is positioned well for common routes, shopping, and daily life, that's not fluff, it's a real advantage. We show it with maps and simple distance to overlays so buyers can picture their routine. And here's a simple self-check. Would you rather have a bigger house and accept more driving? Or would you rather shrink the house a little to protect your time? Either answer is correct. Just choose it on purpose. Reason number 2, growth. And growth can be a double-edged sword. A lot of people move to Suffolk for growth. Newer homes, more options, more space. But growth also changes the feel of a place. And in Suffolk, one of the biggest shifts is what's happening to the farmland here. We're not just talking about new residential developments. Warehouses are popping up in a lot of places, and that means more semi-traffic, especially on 460 and 58. Even if you're not commuting across the region, you might feel it just driving around town. More trucks changes the rhythm of the road. It can add noise, it can add congestion in specific spots, can change how safe or comfortable some people feel on certain roads, especially if you're used to lighter traffic. And if you're relocating, this is one of those you don't know until you live here things. You might tour a home at 2 p.m. and it feels calm. Then you move in and realize the heavier truck flow is early morning and late afternoon. That's why I'm big on driving the area at different times, or at least reviewing the corridor patterns before you commit. And this is where you'll hear strong opinions from lifelong Suffolk residents. Some folks will tell you it's ruining Suffolk and its rural charm. Other people will say this is progress, and they'll point to jobs and new services. I'm not here to argue one way or the other. I'm here to help you understand the trade-offs so you can pick the right fit for your family. So here's the question to ask yourself. What are you really buying? House or lifestyle? Because Suffolk can give you land, trees, and quiet, but not always right next to the same corridors that are seeing the most development activity. If you're moving to Suffolk because you want quiet, define it. Is that trees, fewer neighbors, less road noise, minimal commercial traffic? Write it down. And when you tour homes, don't only tour the house, tour the roads around it. Sit in the driveway, listen, watch traffic. If you're buying for peace, actually test the peace. For buyers, identify growth corridors early and decide whether you're okay living through the building phase. For sellers, if If your property offers privacy, land, and that rural feel, market the lifestyle clearly. Show the yard, the space, the quiet, and be honest about what makes it special. Reason number 3 is one people are feeling in their wallets, particularly right now: utility costs. A lot of residents have been complaining recently about basic utility costs increasing, some drastically. And it's not just Suffolk. It seems to be across all of Hampton Roads. Gas, electric, and water have all been increasing. And that's not just the cost of the utility itself, but also the fees and costs associated with it. Here's why that matters. Most people budget for a move by focusing on the mortgage payment, which is completely understandable. That's the biggest number. But your quality of life is your true monthly cost, not just your mortgage. So here's the true monthly way I like to think about it. You've got your mortgage payment. You've also got homeowners insurance. You've also got utilities, commute costs, and, if applicable, an HOA. Plus, you want to have a maintenance buffer in there somewhere too. For the maintenance buffer, a rough guideline I give people is to plan on around 10% of your mortgage payment each month, on average, going into a home fund. Some months you won't touch it. Other months you'll be glad it's there. It's not perfect math. It's just a practical habit that keeps small stuff from becoming financial stress. I've watched people buy a home, feel great, and then the first year hits them with normal homeowner things: a water heater, fence repair, surprise appliance replacement. None of it is catastrophic. It just feels catastrophic when there's no buffer. The goal isn't to predict every expense. It's to make the surprises smaller. If you're relocating and you want to be extra prepared, here are 2 steps. First, when you're seriously considering a home, build in a utility buffer. If you can get ballpark estimates, great. If you can't, assume it'll be higher than you want and plan accordingly. Second, if you're looking at rural pockets, understand that some homes may have different setups: well, septic, propane, depending on the property. That doesn't mean good or bad, it just means different, and different needs a plan. Now, one more important point for my first-time buyers and VA buyers: don't buy a house based on what the bank says you can afford. I always recommend doing a personal budget and deciding what you can comfortably spend each month on the mortgage payment, and then working backwards to the purchase price. You don't want to be house poor. I have a budget template that helps you dial in a comfortable monthly payment. If you want it, reach out. My information is in the description below, and I'll happily send it over to you. For sellers, if you've made efficiency upgrades, HVAC, windows, insulation, those help. We highlight them factually, and buyers notice. Reason number 4, flood zones. And this isn't just Suffolk, this is Hampton Roads wide. You want to check which flood zone a property is in using the FEMA flood zone maps. And you want to do that before you emotionally commit to a house. Because here's what happens. People fall in love with the kitchen, the backyard, the vibe, and then the flood insurance conversation shows up later and it changes the monthly payment, or it changes what kind of risk they're comfortable with. That's not a fun surprise. So here's a practical process. Step 1, look up the address on the FEMA flood maps. Step 2, if flood insurance is likely to be part of the picture, get an insurance quote early. Step 3, when you visit the property, pay attention to drainage and grading. Ask about any history of water intrusion, responsible due diligence. And just so you don't get overwhelmed, flood maps aren't good or bad. They're information. Some homes are in zones where flood insurance may be a bigger factor. Some aren't. The point is to know early, price it into your decision, and avoid last-minute surprises that blow up an otherwise good deal. If you want an easy workflow, here's what I do with clients. We pull FEMA maps during the shortlist stage, not after the offer. If the property raises questions, we get an insurance quote early, and we talk about comfort level. That's it. No drama, just clarity. If you're buying long distance, this matters even more. You can't drive by after a big rain, so your process has to do that work for you. And sellers, transparency wins. If your home is in or near a flood zone, be prepared with what buyers will ask and price and market accordingly. All right, let's talk about schools, because for a lot of families, that's not a nice to have. That's a decision driver. Suffolk schools, depending on the school and the zone, are often ranked lower than a lot of Hampton Roads when people look at third-party sites like GreatSchools.org. GreatSchools has city and district pages where you can see ratings and parent reviews, And Suffolk's district snapshot shows a mixed picture. Some above average, some below average. And if you compare that to places like Virginia Beach on GreatSchools, you'll often see a higher share of schools rated above average on the district snapshot. Now, a big responsible asterisk. GreatSchools is a common starting point for families, but it's not the only source, and it shouldn't be the only source. Virginia has official school quality profiles where you can see state-reported data too, and that's worth reviewing as part of your homework. Also, this is important. I'm not here to tell you where your kids should go to school, and I'm not going to rank neighborhoods based on schools. What I will tell you is if schools matter to your decision, research them early and verify which specific schools you're zoned for at the exact address you're considering. Practically, pull school zoning for the address. Cross-check using the division site, GreatSchools, and Virginia's school quality profiles. And if you're relocating, think beyond the rating. Think about the transition for your kids. New state, new friends, new routines. The smoother you can make that, the better. For sellers, perceptions around schools can affect buyer demand. The best approach isn't to debate it. It's to price correctly, present the home well, and market to the right buyer pool. Now let's zoom out, because this is where it clicks for most people. Suffolk isn't one thing, it's three broad lifestyles. Like I said, North Suffolk, Central Suffolk, and Rural Suffolk. North Suffolk tends to feel more suburban. It's where a lot of people look when they want convenience, closer access to major connectors, shopping, and that suburban neighborhood feel. Central Suffolk has more of the local heart, services, community, and pockets that feel like a town center without being a big city. That's where downtown Suffolk is. Rural Suffolk is where you go if you want space, trees, land, privacy, and a slower pace. But rural comes with rural realities. Distance, sometimes different utility setups, and fewer quick errands. Most regrets come from choosing the wrong version of Suffolk for your life. So here's a practical exercise before you tour anything. Write down your top 3 non-negotiables. Not nice to haves, non-negotiables. Then we match the area first and the house second. If your non-negotiable is land, we accept the driving. If your non-negotiable is access, we protect your time. If your non-negotiable is newer construction, we decide whether you're okay with the building season and the HOA vibe that often comes with it. Choosing intentionally is the whole game. There's pros and cons to everything. And here's a helpful comment. Quick question. If you had to pick a vibe right now, North Suffolk, Central Suffolk, or Rural Suffolk, which one sounds most like you and why? All right, pivot time. I moved here when I was still active duty, stationed at Naval Station Norfolk. I wanted to get away from the buzz of Virginia Beach, get a little more house for my money, and I didn't mind the commute, even though it was about 45 minutes from my house to the hangar I worked at without traffic. And what made that work wasn't magic, it was expectations. I knew the trade-off and I was okay with it. When I made that move, I wasn't chasing some perfect HGTV fantasy. I was thinking like a working guy with a family and a schedule. I wanted my money to go further, I wanted my neighborhood to feel calmer, and I was willing to trade some time in the car for that. I'd rather commute and come home to peace than live in the middle of the noise and feel like I never get a break. And that's the key point. Suffolk works really well for people who understand the trade and actually prefer that home base vibe. So who thrives in Suffolk? People who want more space, inside and out, and they're okay with driving a little bit more to get it. People who want a calmer home base, a place where when you pull into the driveway, you can actually exhale. Military families who plan the commute first. If you pick the right pocket for your destination, Suffolk can be a great move. If you pick the wrong pocket, it can be super frustrating. The goal is to make sure you're not surprised. And buyers who like newer construction options and modern layouts while still getting that slower home-based pace. If you're relocating here and you want help building a commute-first plan, my contact information is in the description below. And if you want my budget template to help you find a comfortable monthly payment, reach out and I'll send it over. And I'm curious, what's your priority if you move here? More space, calmer vibe, newer home, or a shorter commute? Let me know. Let's wrap this into a clean decision checklist. Filter number 1, destination first. Where do you have to be every week? Work, base, daycare, school activities. Map it at real commute times. Filter number 2, lifestyle second. Do you want suburban convenience, local town feel, or rural space? Filter 3, budget third. True monthly budget. Include utilities, commute costs, insurance, HOA if applicable, and that maintenance buffer I was talking about, so you're not stressed every time something breaks. For buyers, especially long distance buyers, don't try to make a decision off of pretty pictures. Use a process. Shortlist by commute and lifestyle first, verify flood zone and school zoning early, and then tour with purpose, either in person or virtually, so you're comparing apples to apples. And for sellers, one more thing. Buyers right now are a little more cautious. If you have repairs you've been putting off, this is where a pre-list plan helps. Sometimes it's as simple as knocking out the obvious stuff and presenting the home clean and dialed in so buyers feel confident. Confidence sells homes. If your home sells a lifestyle, privacy, land, calm, show that lifestyle in photos and video. If your home sells convenience, routes, shopping, access, prove it with maps and clarity. And price it based on condition and real comps, because buyers are payment sensitive and they're comparing options fast. A quick recap, don't move to Suffolk if you're expecting everything to be close, traffic-free, and unchanged forever. Do consider Suffolk if you want more space for your money, a calmer home base, and you're willing to be smart about commute routes, growth areas, your true monthly budget, plus doing your homework on schools and floods. If you're moving to or from Hampton Roads and you want a plan tailored to your specific work location, budget, and lifestyle, reach out to me. As I said, all my contact information is in the description below. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I'll talk to you soon.